The silence of their third anniversary was louder than any argument. Leo stared at the plate of perfectly arranged blueberry pancakes, a testament to his husband's meticulous nature. Caleb, a top-tier alpha from a family whose name was etched onto university buildings and museum wings, was the picture of gentle sophistication. His only transgression, the world seemed to agree, was marrying Leo, a beta. For 3 years, they had ignored the whispers. But the collection of items in the locked basement had grown, and Leo felt their weight pressing down on him, ready to be absorbed into his very being. He finally spoke, the words he had practiced all morning catching in his throat. He said he wanted a divorce. Caleb's voice was a soft murmur, as if he genuinely hadn't heard over the quiet hum of the city awakening 30 floors below. He asked Leo to repeat himself. The fork in Leo's hand felt heavy, his gaze fixed on the breakfast Caleb had made. The mention of the previous night brought a hot flush to his skin, a deep, uncomfortable warmth that made him want to curl into a ball, but the ache in his lower back wouldn't allow it. Caleb's handsome face was a mask of patient concern. After a moment, a low chuckle escaped his throat. He rose and moved behind Leo, pulling him into his lap. Leo's legs parted reflexively, settling into the familiar straddle as he rested his chin wearily on Caleb's shoulder. He pleaded with him not to bring up last night again. Caleb, ever agreeable, nodded while his warm hands began to knead the soreness from Leo's back. Reassured and lulled by the comforting motion and a full stomach, Leo's resolve softened into drowsiness. In that hazy state, the words slipped out again. He wanted a divorce. A sudden, sharp pressure on a sensitive point in his back sent a jolt through him, instantly dispelling the fog of sleep. He tried to move, but Caleb held him fast. His legs, still trembling from the night before, had no strength to support him. Caleb rarely used his full name. It was always darling, honey, or Lee. Hearing the full, crisp sound of Leo was a chilling echo of a past event. The first time had been at a college reunion. Leo, slightly drunk, had been reminiscing with an old flame when he looked up to see Caleb standing in the rain-slicked shadows, holding an umbrella. The smile on Caleb's face had not reached his eyes, and his tone was as cold and damp as the night air. The oppressive weight of a top-tier alpha's pheromones had been suffocating. Even Leo's ex, also a beta, had visibly paled. Caleb had simply smiled and called his name. Leo. He had scurried under the umbrella, introducing Caleb as his husband. The crushing pressure vanished instantly. That night, Caleb had been the perfect husband, but later, he had shown Leo the price of his displeasure, a possessiveness that marked him in ways that went deeper than skin. The memory made him shiver. He slipped from Caleb's grasp, mumbling an excuse about being late for work. He asked Caleb to think about it. In his open-plan office at the design firm, anxiety gnawed at him. A message from his old roommate, a programmer, confirmed his fears. A hidden tracking app on his phone. It was what he'd suspected. A few days prior, while fetching something from Caleb's nightstand, he had spotted the tiny, dark lens of a micro-camera aimed directly at their bed. A profound sense of helplessness washed over him. He typed back a casual dismissal, claiming it was a game between lovers, a lie that tasted like ash. Compared to the camera and the tracker, the contents of the basement were a far more terrifying secret, one that seemed utterly incongruous with the cultivated man he had married. Their marriage had been a transaction. Fresh out of college and jobless, Leo was living at home, an outsider in his own family since his powerful Omega mother had died. His beta father had quickly remarried a beta woman, and their son, an Omega, was born with a chronic genetic illness. When his stepbrother's condition worsened, requiring a surgery the family couldn't afford. His stepmother suggested Leo marry for the bride price. Leo had resisted, but the sight of his father's stooped shoulders and the chain-smoked cigarettes convinced him to agree to the arranged meetings. He'd failed everyone. His quiet nature and simple clothes a turn-off for prospective partners. After the fourth failure, he ran into Caleb at a coffee shop. Caleb, a campus legend from a different world, the kind of person Leo had only admired from the shadows of a lecture hall. Caleb had recognized him and struck up a conversation. When he heard about Leo's predicament, he offered a solution, a marriage of convenience. He needed to appease his family's pressure to marry. Leo needed to save his brother. A simple, clean transaction. Leo had fled, his heart hammering against his ribs. But that night, his father announced they would have to sell the house. Leo sent Caleb a text. The reply was immediate. "I'm very pleased. To our partnership." The money Caleb provided saved his stepbrother. Leo, in turn, became Caleb's husband, deaf to the whispers that he was unworthy. At their wedding, when Caleb kissed him, Leo understood for the first time what it felt like to have fireworks explode behind his eyes. Their life together became real, their hearts drawing closer. Until he found the basement key. A colleague snapped him out of his reverie, inviting him to a birthday party that night. Leo's instinct was to refuse crowds, but his coworker's disappointed face made him reconsider. He agreed, stipulating he had to be home by 8. As soon as the colleague left, Caleb's messages began to flood his phone. Leo hesitated, then was pulled away by his team lead. He didn't look at his phone again until the end of the day. Staring at the dozen missed calls and texts from Caleb, a wave of defiance washed over him. He turned his phone off and got into his coworker's car. The party was loud. Leo felt like a ghost, picking at his food while his colleagues laughed and drank. A stray thought surfaced. The food wasn't as good as Caleb's. He quickly scolded himself. He was leaving him. By the time he checked his watch, it was past 8:30. He declined a ride home and managed to get a cab. The apartment was ablaze with light. He took a deep breath, checked his clothes for any stray scents, and unlocked the door. Caleb was leaning against the dining table, his smile as serene as ever. He asked if Leo had worked late, noting he hadn't answered his messages. Leo gave a vague nod, his eyes falling on the covered dishes on the table. Caleb had cooked. He took Leo's coat, murmuring that dinner had been ready since 7. Guilt coiled in Leo's stomach. He offered a flimsy excuse about work and a late dinner with colleagues, a story Caleb accepted with an unnerving grace. He told Leo to go wash up, that he would put the food away. The kindness was worse than any anger. The thought of divorce seemed to flicker and fade. He hugged Caleb tightly, apologizing. Caleb held him, his sigh a warm breath against Leo's hair. He just asked that Leo let him know next time so the food wouldn't be wasted. Later, in bed, Leo's mind raced, trying to rationalize everything. Maybe the cameras were for security. Maybe the tracker was for his protection, given Caleb's wealthy family. His resolve to leave was dissolving. Caleb entered the room holding the coat Leo had worn that night. He said he was washing it because it had a strange smell on it. Leo was confused. Caleb leaned in, his perfect profile close, and remarked that the scent was strong, likely pheromones from someone he'd been near. Leo denied being close to anyone. Caleb smiled and dropped the coat into the washing machine, adding a large amount of detergent. The action felt wrong. As Caleb dried his hair, a thought sparked in Leo's mind. He asked, without thinking, if Caleb was jealous. Caleb's hands stilled. He turned off the dryer and pressed a soft kiss to Leo's hair. He replied that as his husband, jealousy was a natural part of loving him, a consequence of his desire to possess him. The directness of the confession, away from the heat of their bed, left Leo flustered. He stammered that he loved Caleb too, but didn't feel that same possessiveness. Caleb's response was to kiss him, a deep, searching kiss that left him breathless. He then posed a question. Would Leo be happy if he did that with someone else? The image of Caleb kissing another person sent a sharp, painful pang through Leo's chest. Caleb then led him to bed, handing him a glass of warm milk. It was sweeter than usual. A dawning horror crept over him as his vision blurred. He managed a single, slurred accusation about the milk before consciousness dissolved. Caleb's voice was the last thing he heard, a whisper of velvet and steel. Darling, I could have pretended for so much longer. Why did you have to mention divorce? He awoke in a bare, unfamiliar room. A chain, thick as his thumb but smooth and polished like some perverse piece of jewelry, was fastened around his wrist. The door opened and Caleb entered, his expression colder than Leo had ever seen. The gentle mask was gone. His cool fingertips traced the red mark on Leo's cheek from where he'd slapped himself awake. He asked why Leo had done that. Leo rattled the chain. Caleb's answer was simple. He was locking him up so he could never see anyone else and would never want to leave him. His twisted logic was clear. He thought Leo was leaving him for someone else. Leo's protests died in his throat, silenced by the frigid look in Caleb's eyes. He tried to explain, but Caleb wasn't listening, lost in his own paranoid narrative. He talked about how Leo used to report his every move, but that night he'd come home late, reeking of alcohol and strangers. Caleb's composure finally broke, his eyes turning red-rimmed. He insisted someone must have put these ideas in Leo's head. He detailed how he had molded Leo, from his taste in tea to the very sheets he slept on. A sharp pain bloomed in Leo's gut as Caleb's teeth sank into his collarbone. He asked, his voice now a commanding whisper, if Leo still wanted a divorce. In that moment of pain and fury, the fated resolve roared back to life. Leo choked out a single word, yes. The silence that followed was absolute. Caleb slowly released him, a single tear tracing a path down his cheek. He looked at Leo, his placid, cultivated mask back in place. He asked him to say it again. A primal fear warned him to stay silent, but a wave of righteous anger washed it away. He shoved Caleb, his voice cracking as he finally screamed about the surveillance, the tracker, the cameras in their bathroom, and the things in the basement. He broke down, sobbing, overwhelmed by the collapse of his reality. He grabbed Caleb's arm and bit down, hard, not stopping until he tasted blood. Caleb didn't flinch, even offering his other arm. He said Leo could bite him as much as he wanted, as long as he stopped talking about divorce. The standoff continued, with Caleb refusing to address any of Leo's accusations, his mind fixated on the non-existent other person. Leo finally gave up. The man was like a stone wall. He declared he would divorce him, that Caleb could lock him up for the rest of his life for all he cared. He wouldn't have to work or socialize. He rolled over in the bed, turning his back on the monster who was his husband. Before Caleb left, Leo called out, telling him to bring his gaming console. Days passed in a strange routine. Caleb would bring him food, and Leo would play his game. When Leo finally demanded an explanation, giving him a 10-minute ultimatum, he turned to find Caleb crying, silent tears streaming down his face. The sight was so shocking it disarmed him. Caleb finally told him everything. He spoke of his family, a history of inherited obsession. His fathers were both alphas. His birth had been a near-fatal event for the one who carried him, a man his other father had stolen from his own brother. The child, Caleb, was meant to be an anchor, but became a source of resentment. Both his fathers, trapped in their toxic bond, monitored each other constantly with trackers and cameras. Caleb, raised in this gilded cage of paranoia, had inherited their disease. He confessed his insecurity, how as a beta, Leo could not carry his scent, while he came home every day marked by the pheromones of countless others. The anger in Leo's heart melted away, replaced by a profound, aching pity for the lonely child hidden inside the possessive man. When Caleb finally unfastened the chain from his wrist, Leo was released back into their apartment. Life resumed, but with a new, unsettling transparency. One afternoon, Leo went to the basement to ensure Caleb had disposed of the disturbing collection of toys. They were still there, displayed in glass cases. As he turned to leave, he noticed a small, raised button on the side of a cabinet. He pressed it. A section of the opposite wall slid open, revealing a velvet-lined box illuminated by a soft light. Inside were not jewels, but a collection of mundane trinkets. A bottle cap, a cigarette butt, a pen cap, and a folded white shirt. He recognized the shirt from a college club, the one with his name, Leo, embroidered on the inside tag. A pair of arms wrapped around his waist from behind. It was Caleb. He explained each item with a quiet, pathological reverence. The bottle cap was from a drink Leo had at a track meet in sophomore year. The cigarette was the first one Leo ever smoked. The box contained a history of his obsession, beginning long before they had ever officially met. The most shocking revelation was a stack of papers at the bottom. Caleb's medical records, pheromone incompatibility disorder, a diagnosis of extreme possessive-compulsive behavior, and the last one, the one that made Leo's breath catch, glandular atrophy self-induced. The injections he took during his ruts weren't suppressants. They were designed to destroy his alpha gland, to permanently remove his ability to bond with an omega. He had done it for Leo. Leo looked at the man who had built a prison for him, a man who had mutilated a part of himself just to keep him. The anger, the fear, it was all gone, replaced by a love so complex and terrifying it stole his breath. He took Caleb's face in his hands, his own voice hoarse. "Let's get you help," he said. "I'll go with you." Caleb's eyes searched his, full of a desperate, fragile hope. For how long? Leo pulled him into a fierce embrace, burying his face in his husband's neck. For a lifetime. Caleb's answering hold was a promise and a cage, and for the first time, Leo willingly accepted both. A lifetime, Caleb whispered back. "You stay with me for a lifetime, and I'll love you for a lifetime."